wanted to give a few of my own thoughts on the trip that we've just done on Providence. I think that's probably one of the best fly fishing trips I have done in a number of years, not only because of the sheer number of species, but also just the sheer feeling of wilderness and untouched fishery. Many of the fisheries that we fish in the Indian Ocean have been exceptionally successful for some time, but immediately arriving on Providence you get that vibe that this fishery has barely been touched. The fish are just not spooky, they don't seem to be fazed by human presence, and I think, judging by the reaction from the giant trevally that we came across, it definitely feels like we're some of the first people to be throwing flies at these fish. The GT fishing on Providence is nothing short of exceptional. Giant trevally are difficult species. The best of times to find somewhere where you've got good numbers, which are combined with a very good average size. Most of the fish that we hit on Providence were between 75 centimeters and upwards. We were regularly bumping into fish over a meter, and I'm not saying that that happens all the time, because it doesn't, but compared to other destinations that I have been to, where maybe you might encounter one or two fish of that size during the week, most of the fishermen were encountering a fish of that size on a daily basis. At least one or two groups would bump into a pod of big ocean-going fish. And as the neap tides built into the springs, we saw the numbers decrease and the size increase, which is, I suppose, exactly what you would expect. But it was very interesting to see that. To see openly swimming, free-feeding giant trevally, which are not spooky. I mean, you will always get some which are spooky, but as a whole, general rule, coming across fish which were just very chilled, very relaxed, doing what giant trevally are supposed to do: hunting, being predatory, coming in off the tides, moving in through the cuts and channels like they're supposed to, free swimming across the flats. Nearly all of the fish that we caught were on the flats, wading and hunting for them. Not on the ocean side, not out in the blue water. Nearly all of them were on rays on the flats, or in little depressions as they sat there waiting for bait fish to be flooded over the top of them, on the bottom of the low tide, walking along the edge, in the surf line, looking for fish. Clear water coming in from the west side of the atoll, and then poddling along with your guide, looking in all the little pots and little holes as you go along, and then every so often one of those big blue shapes would just cruise over and just occupy its space, sitting there waiting for things to be flushed on the pushing tide, and you could creep up and put that fly in and bang, and just hit it. The week itself was exceptional. We ended up landing 136 giant trevally. The other thing that I truly adore about Providence is its sheer species variety. We came across permit, although obviously we didn't catch those because permit at permit. We had our opportunities at permit, but I saw 6 or 7 free swimming permit, totally unperturbed. Numerous shots put in there, sadly didn't hook up. The bumphead parrotfish numbers are extraordinary. A number of those were landed. There was one day where I think 5 or 6 fish were taken in one boat. One of the other things that really does need to be noted, though, is that Providence is an exceptional milkfish fishery. We'd get out there first thing in the morning just as the light was coming up, and we would have good shots at huge schools as they cruised along the weed lanes. Most of the guys that wanted to get an opportunity at having a crack at a milkfish certainly either hooked one or came very, very close to hooking one. We landed, I think, 7 or 8 for the week. Some double hookups to give you the ideas of numbers. Double hookups in a boat, sadly, with milkfish, especially those big, powerful milks, heading off in different directions. That doesn't always end well, but you know, we were getting the shots. We were having the opportunities. So I'd highly recommend anybody that really wants to catch a milkfish, Providence is definitely somewhere that you should try. One situation, myself and another angler, Peter McLeod, we came down to one particular school. You could see that they were absolutely on fire, feeding. And we put both flies in and almost immediately hooked up. And this wasn't sort of back scratching or anything like that. Clear hookup right in the corner of the mouth. They were actually taking the fly and you could see it happening. Good numbers of tailing triggerfish, yellow margins, big titans. One morning I remember being surrounded by 7 tails at the same time. I haven't seen triggers like that since I was in Sudan. Triggers are difficult, they're pesky little creatures, but that's what really keeps our interest, I suppose. The bone fishing was extraordinary. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. Turning up on the big white sand flats on the east side of Providence, and these are not just little bonefish that you normally come across, sort of 3-4 pounders. Most of these were between 6 and 7 pounds. We had a number of fish with fork lengths over 60 centimeters, the largest being 67 with a girth of 35 centimeters. So that's a good solid 8 pound bonefish, and catching them in very skinny water, no more than, half a foot, 3/4 of a foot depth, just sliding in down through the white sand. Their green backs clearly visible, having come off the turtle grass. I mean, incredible fun. The other species that we encountered were a yellow-lipped emperor. I haven't caught a yellow-lipped emperor of 6 or 7 pounds on a 9 weight. That's a real challenge. On every expedition that we mount and every trip, there are a few little highlights, if you like, a few little episodes that happen along the way that stick in your mind to make that trip particularly special. For me, catching fish in the surf line, spotting them, chasing them, hunting them down, putting that fly in front of them, watching them eat, that was exceptionally special. I hooked an extremely large barracuda, which I thought was a big GT sitting in a white hole, but actually turned out to be a 6-foot cuda that hit the fly and immediately aerolized 7 feet out of the water 3 times. Triggerfish, I still have this love-hate relationship with triggers. Titans not so much, but yellow margins, we're just really not gelling at the moment. Lots and lots of opportunities, lots of follows, lots of takes, a couple of hookups, but still, I think we have to start having serious words with this species as far as I personally am concerned. It's turning into a little bit of a nemesis. Most of the yellow margins I've hooked so far have just spat the hook straight back in my face. But that's what keeps me fishing, I suppose. The guide team that Fly Castaway have on Providence are exceptional. They are highly experienced, highly motivated young men, all of which have got that absolute fire and passion that you're looking for in your guide. I really just got the impression that each day, each one of them was pushing themselves harder and harder to try and produce fish. Tim Babbage, Matthew, Justin, Wesley, Peter and Jerry, all long time serving guides. They've done many seasons either on Farquhar or in Seychelles or elsewhere. St. Brandon's, they really know their stuff. They know that atoll. They're beginning to really learn its ways. She's not an easy atoll to fish, especially there's very little landmarks, or if you're looking and you're pointed in midway and you look at either end of the atoll, you can barely see the islands at either end. I mean, she's 50 kilometers long and nearly 15 kilometers across. There are huge sections of the east side that haven't even been fished yet and no person has walked on. So for them to get to grips with that and what happens in different tidal situations, they're doing an exceptional job. And they put us all on the fish 9 times out of 10. So I was extremely impressed with that. Summing up, would I go back? Absolutely. I'm going straight back next year. I really feel that this is an exceptional destination. It is one of those atolls I have wished to fish for years and years and years. It is really one of the last remaining atolls in the Seychelles chains, which have had very little exposure, very little pressure, and there is still so much of it to explore, to learn, and I'm just excited about the possibility of doing that and being a part of it. I think it is one of those truly special destinations, and if you're looking for that next experience, that next saltwater challenge, then Providence should be very, very high on your list. Well, if you've enjoyed this little video introducing Providence Atoll in the Seychelles, then I really, really hope that you'll give us a like and that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel.